what can I say? I just wanted to really be here and talk my heart to you and tell you that we need to be united, because this, as I said before, and I'm going to repeat it, this war is everywhere and it's not really against specific nation only, even though it is. But if we don't stop it now, it's going to spread to be against every one of us. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And please turn to the person next to you and behind you and introduce yourself. After me. We are the leaders we have been waiting for.
We are the leaders we have been waiting for.
This is very important to know. Because nobody is going to write your song, sing your song, write your book, or do your dance. We know there's a lot of work to be done in our community, and we must step up. It's such a moment for us. You know, when I speak at churches, I always say, if the 3 wise men were 3 wise women, they would have brought gifts, asked for directions, and cleaned the stables. And mine and your incredible thanks to Pastor Jimmy, Sarah, and Phoebe, and all the women in this church who put this event together, and also all the men. We are extremely grateful. To Ella and Shira and all the youth in this room, I say we are sorry. We didn't do enough, and we have given you a challenging baton to fight. And for us, accepting evil without protesting is cooperating with it. We must carry that message forward. October 7th was a defining moment in my life. It was a defining moment because not enough Muslims in my community condemned October 7th. October 7th was a defining moment because it destroyed, for me personally and for my colleagues, years of hard work we have done to build bridges in the city of Los Angeles and across the United States. October 7th is scary for me because we have today a fertile ground to raise a generation of youth without national pride. We have a fertile ground where might rise hatred for each other in this beautiful country of ours. But also October 7th gives us hope. It's a time for us to rejuvenate. We didn't do enough. October 6th did not mean there was peace. It was a facile, fragile peace. It reminds us today that we need to rejuvenate ourselves and strengthen our faith. My father used to tell me this story. I was born in Sri Lanka. How many of you know where Sri Lanka is? Good. Sometimes I have to say it's not going to India and making a right. So he tells this story about there was a severe famine, a drought in a city, and people were praying relentlessly, invoking for rain. So one day the church said, come to the square, we are going to pray and we are going to ask for God's blessings for rain to come. All the adults gathered, and there was one child who gathered, who came with an umbrella. We need faith. We need faith in ourselves, and we need faith in our community to carry forward the next phase of our work. So I want to save us 5 minutes. I'll be very crisp and short. I want to talk about a blueprint. Dr. King, we are going to remember him tomorrow, right? He said, in the midst of all that tragedy and struggle, he said, hate is too much of a burden to bear, I stick with love. He calls us to love. So I want to talk about a blueprint for us as we leave here today. As a community organizer, I'm always focused on not what we are going to do today, listening and learning, but what are you going to do tomorrow? We must make a point to remember that. So first thing I would say, let us not major in minor things. There's a lot to get hurt about. There's a lot of attack. And I have so many names, I've run out of remembering them. They call me Zionist proxy, a sellout, not a Muslim. I mean, the names are plenty, but I thought I'll step into those names. I'll be a Zionist proxy because I'm a Muslim who believes in a state for Israel. When I went to Israel last month, I met a woman by the name of Mirev. Mirev lived in Kibbutz Be'eri. She came to see us because the day we went, the ceasefire ended. So we couldn't cross over, but we were like 5 miles from the border. She came to see us. And she was telling this horrific, tragic, traumatic story about what happened to her. I had videos, I showed it at the synagogue the other day, but we have limited time. But I'll tell the gist of it, where she was talking to her mother, and the mother said, I can hear Arabic voices outside. And she said, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow, and she hung up. And then she opened the door for the terrorist Hamas. And she said to them, I am alone. Whereas she got her husband and her grandson to hide somewhere in the house. The terrorist Hamas, in the most brutal, savage, satanic way, they butchered her. They butchered her. And then they went to her sister's house and they killed her sister's son, Mirev's nephew. And then they took the other son to Gaza. And several weeks ago, we learned that they killed that son too. So there was this Jewish delegation that was telling to us what happened, and Mirev was very clear. She said, it's not all the Palestinians, it's the Hamas, the terrorist Hamas. In that grief, she was able to discern the difference. And I think I can't totally agree with her, but I loved her for that. Because she gave me a new way of thinking. And then the Bedouins, they are Muslim Arabs. They have taken so many Muslim Arabs hostage. And we went to the city of Rafah and met Bedouins. And we got to know, and a few weeks ago we had a son of a hostage, a Bedouin hostage, and his brother come to Los Angeles, and we shared their anguish and their trauma. But they didn't want to tell us any details because they were so mortally scared of Hamas. So not to major in minor things is like the people we encounter, they're going to really push us to the wall, criticize us, call us names, but we have to stand tall. And then it's a time for us not just to concentrate, this is the second blueprint, not just to concentrate in the length of life, but talk about the breadth of life. And the length of life is our pursuits of us for our own good. You develop yourself, you become a doctor, you become a lawyer if you want, you do things for yourself. And in that process, it is true, we must learn to love ourselves first. And we can't stop there. There are so many millions of people who are concentrated only on the length of life. What is it for me in this? What we talk about is the breadth of life. Focus on the breadth of life. The output, the welfare of the other. How can we stand up for our Jewish communities who are deeply hurting at this time? Is a critical question we must wake up and ask every day. And if you listen, what better place for me to share this story than at a church? The story of the Good Samaritan, right? The people said, who didn't help him, said they couldn't help him. But one person asked the question, not what would happen to me, but what would happen to him if I don't help. So we need to ask that question. And the third and the most important thing here, what Rania said was, she's a Druze and Jethro was Moses' father-in-law. The third blueprint I want you to please remember is read Exodus 17, 13 to 24. There's a valuable lesson for us there, because as community organizers, Jethro watched people coming in hundreds to talk to Moses. And he said, Moses, what's wrong with you? How can you help hundreds and thousands of people? You need to organize. Organize yourself into 1,000, 100, 50s and 10s. And then appoint leaders within that hundreds and tens and 50s. You know the story, Rana, yes? Yes. And that is what we are going to do in our city. That is what we say is community organizing. We don't want mobilizing. We have people who are mobilized, but they're not organized. On campuses, we need to organize our youth, to organize. So to remember, go back and read, and maybe we'll come to church again and Pastor Jenny will explain to us in detail. So what he said was organize. So because my 5 minutes is up, I want to just finish with this thought again, a quote of Dr. King, who said, if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't crawl, sit. And he said, for goodness sake, don't stay still. Do something. Thank you.